3 days into 2026, while you slept, American helicopters hit Caracas at 2:01 a.m. 30 minutes later, Maduro was in custody and $17.3 trillion in oil reserves changed hands. But here's what they're not telling you. This wasn't about Venezuela. This was stage 4 of a 2,000-year pattern that has destroyed every empire in history. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. U.S. national debt, $38.5 trillion, growing $612 billion per day, every single day. Interest payments just crossed $1 trillion annually for the first time ever. And 142,000 millionaires fled traditional wealth centers this year, the largest wealth migration in recorded history. This is stage 4 of the 7-stage cycle that killed the Roman denarius, the Dutch guilder, and the British pound. The Venezuela raid isn't the beginning, it's a symptom. An empire desperately grabbing resources to maintain an illusion. What comes next is already written. The only question is whether you'll be ready for the greatest wealth transfer ever recorded. For 2,000 years, empires have followed the exact same pattern. Same sequence, same stages, same outcome. Rome in 265 AD, the Dutch in 1780, Britain in 1931, America in 2026. The pattern is identical, and it's unfolding right now. Stage 1, sound money foundation. Every empire starts the same way. Real currency backed by tangible assets, gold, silver, hard value. Commerce flows in, trade explodes, wealth accumulates, productive capacity expands. The society gets rich through real productivity, not financial tricks. This is the golden age. The foundation seems unshakable. Stage 2, expansion and social programs. Once wealthy, the empire expands. Infrastructure, public works, social programs. Initially funded by the wealth from stage 1, roads, healthcare, education, the middle class grows. Quality of life improves everywhere. But here's the shift. The empire starts spending more on maintaining prosperity than creating it. Consumption outpaces production, slowly, quietly. Most people never notice. Stage 3, military overextension and currency debasement. To maintain global dominance, the empire projects power everywhere. Military might becomes brutally expensive. Protecting trade routes, overseas bases, endless conflicts draining resources. Costs rise faster than revenue. Taxes increase, but they're never enough. So the empire makes a choice. Instead of cutting spending, it debases the currency. Rome shaved silver from coins. Modern empires print money, same effect. More currency chasing the same goods. Inflation creeps in, the empire pays its bills, the system keeps running, but trust erodes. Foreign currency holders notice. They diversify, quietly at first. Stage 4, desperate resource acquisition. Things accelerate here. The empire realizes its currency is losing credibility. So it does what all empires do, goes after hard assets, natural resources, strategic materials, anything with real value. Military operations become resource grabs. Regime change becomes about oil, minerals, infrastructure. The empire tells itself stories about security, democracy, terrorism, but underneath it's always the same thing, acquiring real assets to back up a hollow financial system. This is exactly where we are. Venezuela holds 303 billion barrels of oil at $50 per barrel, 17.3 trillion. January 3rd, 2026, the United States took control through a military operation that captured their president. Not a coincidence. Stage 4 behavior. Textbook empire economics. Here's what makes this devastating. Stage 4 doesn't stabilize anything. It's a patch on a systemic problem. The fundamental issue, spending exceeding capacity, hasn't been addressed. Stage 4 buys time, 5 to 15 years, sometimes less. While the empire grabs resources externally, internal problems accelerate. Stage 5, loss of confidence. The population senses something's wrong. Inflation hits the grocery store. The middle class watches savings lose purchasing power. Wages don't keep up. Wealth gaps explode. Those with hard assets prosper. Those holding cash deteriorate. Social cohesion fractures. Political extremism rises. Class warfare intensifies. Foreign governments actively diversify away from the currency, systematically. Trade settlements shift. Gold reserves increase. Bilateral agreements bypass the dominant currency. Reserve status starts cracking. Stage 6, fiscal dominance, catastrophic. Debt grows so large that interest payments consume massive government revenue. The central bank faces an impossible choice. Raise rates to fight inflation, debt becomes unpayable. Keep rates low, currency loses purchasing power. This is fiscal dominance. The debt controls all monetary policy. Janet Yellen just warned about this January 5th, 2026. The preconditions for fiscal dominance are clearly strengthening. Translation, we're entering stage 6. Stage 7, collapse and reset. Hyperinflation or default, currency becomes worthless. The system resets, wealth stored in currency evaporates, generational savings destroyed in months, wealth stored in hard assets, gold, silver, land, resources explodes in relative value. This is the great wealth transfer, from those who trusted the system to those who understood the pattern every single time. Let me prove it. 3 undeniable examples. Rome, the eternal city, dominated the Mediterranean for 500 years, 50,000 miles of roads, aqueducts still functioning today. The denarius was the global reserve currency. 64 AD under Nero, it contained 94% silver, real money. But Rome was expensive. Military campaigns, barbarian threats, 3 continents, they started debasing. By 100 AD, 85% silver. By 200 AD, 50% silver. By 265 AD, only 0.5% silver. Prices exploded 1,000% across the empire. Soldiers demanded higher wages. Emperor Caracalla raised military pay 50% just to maintain loyalty. Rome had no precious metals left, so they raised taxes, hyperinflation, soaring taxes, worthless money. Rome's trade dissolved. Economic activity collapsed. Those holding land and gold survived. Those holding denarius were destroyed. By 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire ceased to exist. The Dutch, 17th century. The Dutch Golden Age. The guilder became the world's first modern reserve currency. Global commerce flowed through Amsterdam. The Dutch East India Company was worth 7.9 trillion in today's dollars. Most valuable company in human history. Spice trade, shipping dominance. They created the modern stock market. But maintaining the empire was costly. Colonial possessions, naval fleets. By the 1700s, overextended, heavily indebted. Internal fighting erupted. Their military weakened. Classic late-stage signs. Then the Fourth Anglo-Dutch War in 1780. The British challenged them directly, attacked shipping, strangled trade routes. France pounced. War lasted until 1784. The British won decisively. That war bankrupted the Dutch. Debt became unpayable. Equity markets collapsed. The guilder lost reserve status overnight. Wealth transferred from Dutch to British holders, from declining empire to rising one. Pattern repeated perfectly. Britain, the empire on which the sun never set, controlled 25% of the world's landmass. The pound sterling was the dominant reserve currency for 200 years. London was the financial capital. British ships controlled global trade. But by 1900, maintaining the empire cost more than the benefits. The Gilded Age created massive wealth gaps. Britain borrowed excessively. Germany, Japan, the United States grew stronger. World War I devastated them financially. Britain borrowed heavily from the U.S. By 1918, a debtor nation for the first time in centuries, they tried maintaining the pound's value, struggled, manipulated. By 1931, forced to abandon the gold standard. Pound devalued. World War II drained more resources. By 1944, at Bretton Woods, the U.S. dollar, backed by 2/3 of the world's gold, became the new reserve currency. Britain didn't let go easily, used colonial influence to slow the transition. By 1967, another major devaluation. Pound lost 14% overnight. Took over 20 years to fully dethrone. Slow, painful, devastating. Those holding pound assets watched wealth evaporate. Those who diversified into dollars and hard assets preserved purchasing power. Wealth transfer complete. 3 empires, different centuries, different technologies, different enemies, same pattern, same stages, same outcome. Now let's apply this to America, stage by stage. Just facts. Stage 1, sound money foundation, 1944 at Bretton Woods. Dollar linked to gold at $35 per ounce. All currencies pegged to the dollar. America held 2/3 of the world's gold. Sound money, real value. Foundation of American dominance. Check. Stage 2. Expansion and social programs. Post-World War II, America built an unprecedented welfare state. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, interstate highways, public education expansion. Initially funded by genuine growth, manufacturing dominance, technological innovation, trade surpluses. American middle class exploded. Quality of life improved dramatically. Real prosperity from real productivity. Check. Expansion happened exactly as predicted. Stage 3. Military overextension and debasement, where it cracked. Vietnam War, Cold War, arms race, military bases in over 80 countries. By late 1960s, nations started exchanging dollars for gold. They noticed the overextension. August 15, 1971, Nixon closed the gold window. No more gold backing. Dollar became pure fiat currency backed by nothing but faith. This was the debasement moment. Roman coin shaving, modern version. What happened next? Inflation. The 1970s saw double-digit inflation, dollar's purchasing power cut in half within a decade. But the dollar survived because of the petrodollar system. 1974, deal with Saudi Arabia, oil priced in dollars globally. In exchange, U.S. provides military protection, created artificial dollar demand. Countries needed dollars for oil. Extended stage 3 by 50 years. Didn't eliminate the pattern. Delayed it. Check. Debasement on schedule. Petrodollar was a temporary patch. Stage 4, desperate resource acquisition. Now we're here. Recent history: Iraq 2003, oil reserves; Libya 2011, oil and gold reserves; Syria, strategic positioning; Venezuela, 303 billion barrels worth $17.3 trillion, January 3rd, 2026, Operation Absolute Resolve; captured Maduro, took control. Trump stated explicitly, we're going to have our very large United States oil companies go in, spend billions, fix the broken infrastructure, and start making money for the country. Translation: we're taking the oil. But this isn't sustainable. Temporary measure. Venezuela's infrastructure is gutted. Would take $180 billion in 15 years to reach peak production. Even successful, Venezuela produced less than 1% of global oil. Doesn't change America's fiscal trajectory. It's a patch. Band-aid. Stage 4 behavior. Check. United States actively pursuing hard assets through military means. Pattern confirmed. Stage 5. Loss of confidence. Entering now. 2025, 142,000 millionaires relocated internationally, highest ever recorded. 2026 projections, 165,000 relocating. Largest voluntary capital transfer in history. UK losing 68,500 millionaires. $66 billion in liquid wealth vanishing. China losing millionaires, India losing millionaires. Where are they going? UAE, Singapore. Zero income tax, political stability, asset-friendly policies, capital flight, wealthy sensing instability, moving assets before exits close. Dollar's share of global reserves declined from 71% in 2000 to 59% in 2023. Countries diversifying, China and Russia settling in yuan and rubles. BRICS discussing alternative systems. Not collapse yet, early stage 5. Confidence cracking, not shattered. Cracks widening, check. Loss of confidence measurable, accelerating, following pattern perfectly. Stage 6, fiscal dominance terrifying. U.S. debt, $38.5 trillion. Growing $6.12 billion daily, $255 million per hour. $4.25 million per minute, 70,140 per second. Interest payments will exceed $1 trillion in 2026. First time ever, triple what it was in 2020. By 2035, $1.8 trillion annually. Congressional Budget Office projects 156% of GDP by 2055. Alternative scenarios, 220% of GDP. Janet Yellen warned January 5th, 2026, preconditions for fiscal dominance clearly strengthening. If investors lose faith, they'll demand higher rates. Higher rates on $38.5 trillion is catastrophic. Federal Reserve trapped. Raise rates, debt unpayable. Keep rates low, currency loses value. Fiscal dominance. Debt controls all policy. Check. Entering stage 6. Math undeniable. Stage 7. Collapse and reset. Not here yet, but coming. History gives a time frame. Once fiscal dominance sets in, collapse takes 5 to 25 years. Some project 2050. Others think sooner if confidence breaks suddenly. Loss of reserve status. Failed bond auction. Sovereign debt crisis. Final stage always hyperinflation or default. No third option. Never has been. When it happens, wealth transfer completes. Currency holders wiped out. Hard asset holders survive. Not there yet. But every indicator pointing that direction. Pattern playing out exactly as history predicts. I'm not predicting the future. I'm showing you a pattern repeated for 2,000 years across every major empire. Rome, Dutch, British. Same 7 stages. Same ending. United States currently stage 4. Entering 5. Stage 6. Manifesting. Not opinion. Measurable data following historical pattern. Here's what people say. This time is different. Technology will save us. AI, productivity, innovation, American exceptionalism. Let me address this. Rome had revolutionary technology, concrete, aqueducts, advanced engineering. British had the Industrial Revolution. Greatest technological leap in history. Technology didn't save either. Problem isn't productivity. It's spending versus revenue. When spending exceeds revenue by 6 to 7% GDP annually, no productivity growth solves that. U.S. would need sustained 5 to 6% GDP growth for decades. Hasn't happened. Won't happen. British pound was reserve currency for 200 years. Failed anyway. Reserve status doesn't prevent decline, delays it, makes the fall worse. When reserve currencies collapse, they take the global system temporarily. Yes, US can print unlimited dollars, but printing to pay debts is hyperinflation, not saving the system, destroying it differently. Ask Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe, Venezuela. Printing doesn't create wealth, transfers wealth from currency holders to those who print first. This time isn't different. Pattern is absolute. If the pattern holds, and it always has, we're heading toward historic wealth transfer, not tomorrow. Within 10 to 25 years, those who understand will position. Those who don't will watch savings evaporate. History's survival strategies. Every collapse rewarded tangible assets: gold, silver, land, resources. Rome collapsed, landholders survived. Dutch guilder failed, gold preserved wealth. British pound devalued, those diversified into dollars and hard assets maintained power. Pattern clear. Hard assets retain value through transitions. Specialized skills retain value regardless of currency. Essential services, healthcare, engineering, agriculture, skilled trades, maintain earning capacity. Argentina's currency crises, those with in-demand skills adapted. Fixed income holders destroyed. 142,000 millionaires relocating this year. They understand something. Late-stage decline brings capital controls, wealth taxation, exit taxes, asset confiscation. Having optionality, second residences, foreign accounts, international structures provides protection. Not about patriotism, about recognizing patterns and acting rationally. Dollar will likely remain dominant for years, possibly decades, but purchasing power will erode. Multiple currencies provide hedge: creditor nations, commodity-backed systems, UN, Swiss franc, gold-backed instruments won't prevent loss, reduce concentration risk. Most common mistake. They do nothing, hear the analysis, understand the pattern, see the data, continue as if nothing changed. Normalcy bias. Won't happen in my lifetime, someone will fix it. Government won't let it get that bad. History proves otherwise every time. Roman citizens didn't believe their empire would fall. British didn't think pound would lose status. Happened anyway. Mathematical forces don't care about beliefs. January 3rd. Venezuela operation isn't the cause. It's a symptom of where we are. Stage 4 empires grab hard assets: oil, gold, resources, desperation disguised as strength. Temporary measure buying time, not solving problems. The fact that U.S. conducted military operation to seize $17.3 trillion in oil tells you everything. System stable, this isn't necessary. Dollar secure, force isn't needed. Late-stage empire behavior, pattern asserting itself. Historical precedent, next 2 to 5 years. Increasing wealth migration, rising inflation, currency volatility, social tensions. Next 5 to 10 years, potential reserve status loss or significant erosion, capital controls, possible sovereign debt crisis. Next 10 to 25 years, major monetary reset, hyperinflation or default, complete financial system restructuring, not a forecast. Historical pattern. Time frame could shorten if confidence breaks. Could extend if propped up longer, but direction is clear, pattern undeniable. What do? Educate yourself. Monetary history, empire cycles, watch indicators, diversify wealth. Don't hold 100% in any single currency, country, system. Acquire skills that retain value. Become indispensable. Build networks. Communities survive better. Position wealth in hard assets, not speculation. Strategic allocation based on preservation patterns. Stay informed. Pattern playing out real time. Venezuela is one data point. Watch for next moves. More resource acquisition, rising inflation, capital controls, social instability, not random events, stages in a predictable cycle. We're living through one of history's most significant wealth transfers. Most won't see it until too late. They'll trust the system. Believe in exceptionalism. Assume it works out. History says it won't. Not without severe pain first. You have a choice. Understand the pattern and position accordingly, or ignore it and hope this time is different. But this time is never different. Pattern is absolute. Wealth transfer is coming. Only question is which side you'll be on. Subscribe now. This story is far from over. Next video shows specific indicators telling you exactly when we move stage 5 to 6, and the 3 assets that outperformed everything during every empire collapse. Window to position yourself is closing. Pattern is absolute. Transfer is coming. Time is running out.